Hello and welcome to Squabble, a noisy quarrel about something petty or trivial. I'm Carter.
And I'm Jacob.
And you can't tell, but I'm wearing pajama pants under this desk. If you're watching, if you're listening, you'll never know what I'm wearing. But what I'm wearing today is specific to the episode. I'm going to attempt to convince Jacob that the moon landing was fake.
As you do.
And I'm not wearing an astronaut suit or anything like that. I'm just wearing a NASA shirt
And an astronaut hat.
and an astronaut themed hat. That's all I meant by that. But also a little something sad, but also exciting.
Yes,
I have to say.
Prepare to be sad and excited. Okay.
Yeah. This is the last episode of season 2.
Yes, it is. We had a good run in season 2. We're gonna be back though for season 3. Don't worry.
Yep. April 1st. April Fool's
And that's
Day.
not a joke.
It's not a joke.
We might make it a joke though. We'll see what happens. We've got a while to think of a funny idea.
Yeah, we are starting back season 3 on April Fool's Day, which I think is appropriate for this show.
Because it's a joke.
Because our lives are a joke. But before that, don't think about that. You don't have to think about that. All you have to think about is that the moon landing was fake.
Oh, okay.
And I'll tell you why.
This is another flat Earth episode. That was terrible.
No, the moon is completely circular.
Oh, so you
Not
do
that we
believe?
would know.
So you believe the moon is real?
Oh, the moon is real, sure, but we didn't go there. We haven't. Okay. Well, I'll say this: we probably have been there now. But I'm saying the first moon landing, the Apollo ship,
The very first one, like the iconic one.
right? Let me see here. Yeah, the '60s moon landing. It was just fake, okay. But we probably have been there before that. It's just not as iconic, because we didn't put it in the news and everything. Anyway,
Wait, before that? You mean after that?
let's just jump right into it. The moon landing was fake, and I know this because there's hard evidence that it was fake. The first piece of evidence lie in the photos. Okay, they took a lot of photos.
Yes.
And one of the things that is obviously in the photos that is like, what? Like, that's obviously a Photoshop photo or a fake photo, or that photo was taken in a studio. Okay? There's no stars in any of the photos. They take a picture of the astronauts on the moon, and if you look in the background, it's just a black void. Okay?
I've got an argument
I'll read a little
against that.
quote that I wrote down here. One detail doubters often point is the background of many of the NASA photos. In pictures of the moon's landscapes, there aren't any stars in the sky. It just looks like a big black void of space. Since the moon has no atmosphere, there should be millions of stars dotting the background of the photos. Because the landings were faked on a studio stage, the photographers must have just made a huge mistake. Did they just forget to turn on the stars?
Yes. There's so many things wrong with this. First of all, you think they're going to do something as big as fake a moon landing and they're going to just forget to put stars in the background?
Yeah.
Second of all, there's actually, I also have a quote here. You think you should be able to see the stars, right? That ignores some basic technological constraints behind photographing things on the moon. With such a dark background, with objects so brightly lit by the sun, the aperture of the camera needed to be kept small in order to photograph the lander and the astronauts clearly and sharply. So that's why. Because they had to keep the aperture really low so that they could get the people in the picture, not the stars in the background.
Seems like an excuse.
And I think my first argument was well enough. You really think they'd go through all that work to fake it just to forget to put stars in the background?
First of all, it was the 60s, okay? They weren't that smart back then.
Oh?
Second of all, if that is what you said is true, they probably took that into account because, they're scientists.
So now you're just saying, if I'm right, I'm still right. If I'm wrong, then you're still
No,
right.
if you're right, you're still wrong, is what I'm saying. Okay,
But wait, there's more?
There's
Okay.
so much more. Okay, so you said that the aperture of the camera. Blah, blah, blah. Well, explain this, Jacob. Explain this, okay? The sea rock. Okay, this is probably the most iconic.
That's what they called me in high school.
That's what they called me in high school.
Oh, yeah,
They called
that's
you the
more
J-Rock. This is probably the most iconic, I don't know, piece of evidence that is like kind of memed about the moon landing. The sea rock. I have a picture here that you can see.
It doesn't look like a sea to me.
But
there's a sea on it.
Yes.
Oh.
But the viewers can't see. It's not that exciting. It's just a rock, but it looks like the letter C has been like stamped or carved in there. So this is what that is. Okay, I wrote down a little something. One of the most famous photos shows a stray moon rock that appears to have the letter C written or stamped on it. This is because most of the larger moon rocks seen in pictures are simply props. A set designer must have labeled this stray rock and accidentally left it turned over for the camera and us to see. Yep.
No, that's stupid. They probably okay.
Don't read my notes.
I'm just looking at the picture.
Yeah,
it just
okay.
looks like a little mark on the rock.
Little mark, that is an obvious C. That's like a font. That's Times New Roman right there, my dude.
It's just a little swirly on the rock.
No, that is a C. You cannot explain that.
Okay, that's like using
maybe aliens.
Okay, yeah, that's what it is. No, or what if they just put a C on it? What if they had to mark the rock? That's one of the rocks they were taking.
Well, they didn't say. Okay, do you want me to read the next part of my note here? Mm-hmm. Because believe it or not, NASA actually addressed this. This was so popular when they first released the photos that NASA actually had to come out and say something about this. Okay, and this is what they said. I wrote down, NASA actually addressed this claim. Scientists and representatives from NASA claimed the C is just a photographic glitch, a stray hair that found its way into the developing process. That sounds like a bad excuse of a cover-up to me.
I kind of believe them.
Kinda? See, kinda.
Yeah, when you look at when you do look at it, it does kind of look like it's
side.
not actually on the rock, but just on the picture.
No. We will post this picture on Instagram, by the way. So shout out to our Instagram at Squabble Podcast.
But yeah, I don't
that is
think that's
obviously.
Well, okay. Did you know that they brought pieces of the moon back to Earth after that landing? How do you explain that?
It's just random rocks that they found.
But they like studied
you can't
them.
distinguish. Yeah.
And they were like, this is nothing like on Earth.
Of course, have you studied them? Of course, all the
No,
NASA
you
people are going to
haven't.
say they brought rocks and studied them. Like, of course. But did they really? No, of course not. That would be ridiculous. I mean, they probably have been there since then, but not this time. Not this.
Okay, so let me ask you this: do you believe that the rovers on that went to the moon were real?
Yep.
So you believe there's like the okay.
And this episode, by the way, I forgot to say in the beginning, is in honor of the Mars rover.
Right.
What was this? What did we name him?
Opportunity.
Opportunity. Yeah. Rip Opportunity. Can we take a moment of silence?
Okay, that's enough. Anyway, so basically, there's pictures of when they went to the moon match up with pictures that the rover took.
Well, of course. What do you think? They're
No.
amateur
Okay,
con artists?
okay. Well, you're saying that you believe that the rover that took this picture is actually on the moon, right?
Yeah.
Okay, it matches up with the picture they took in the 60s.
Yeah. So first of all, they probably just downloaded pre-saved photos onto the rover when they put it in the moon, so that when it quote unquote took the pictures and people looked back and were like, oh. And plus, you don't know that the moon rover actually took that picture. All you know is what NASA has released into the public. So they probably saw the pictures and were like, we need a couple, to really sell that last, Apollo, the Apollo lunar. Hold on, this is called something I can't. Oh yeah, okay. The Apollo lunar module is the ship.
Okay, yeah.
So just for the record.
One more thing though that is kind of unravels your whole argument. What are their motivations for faking the moon?
I'm glad you asked, Jacob.
Okay.
Let me scroll down here. I will come back to the hard evidence because there's so much more. But I did write down why would NASA fake the moon landing?
Yeah,
because that's a question. First thing, the space race. You've probably heard of it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Motivation for the United States to engage the Soviet Union in a space race.
I think it's Soviet Union, but
that's what I said.
Oh, I thought you said Soviet Union.
Oh, yeah, I probably did that, but whatever. But the space race can be traced to the ongoing Cold War. Landing on the moon was viewed as a national and technological accomplishment that would generate worldwide acclaim. Soviets had been attempting to send unmanned spacecrafts to the moon years before we did, yet they were never successful. Here's a question for you, Jacob. How come we nailed it on the first human attempt, yet they couldn't get an RC up there. Seems fishy to me.
Because America is the best country in the world.
Seems very fishy.
It doesn't seem fishy to me.
They just keep trying, and then we were like, let's send a man
eventually
up there.
Someone's got to get it right.
Yep.
And you think NASA just stuck a dude in a rocket ship for the first time and launched him up there? They did tests and stuff. I mean, they like knew what they were doing. They didn't just get lucky on the first time. They'd been working on it also for a while. And they like had a trained astronaut, and he went up there and he did his thing.
Okay, second reason of motivation.
Okay.
Scroll down. NASA funding is what I'm calling this. Conspiracy theorists claim that NASA faked the landing to avoid humiliation and to ensure that it continued to get funding. This makes sense. NASA raised $30 billion to go to the moon. I would fake anything for $30 billion. Okay. And Bill Casing, he's like a conspiracy theorist guy or author.
He's a crazy guy.
He's a conspiracy theorist author. And he claimed that in his book that this money could have been used to pay off many people.
Okay,
so that's how it stayed so quiet, because you'd do anything for $30 billion. Okay.
Okay, I would. Okay.
What were you gonna say?
Well, do you know if NASA's funding was even in danger at the time? I don't think NASA was like gonna run out of funding, so they got to fake a moon landing. I feel like there's easier things to do.
Well, you don't have to be running out of money to want $30 billion. To want $30 billion.
Okay, it just seems
you
a
could
little...
have $30 billion, and if someone was like, "You want $30 billion more dollars?" You'd be like,
and
yeah.
with the first one, if it was back when we were still doing the space race, why are they still saying it's fake? They could come out and say, "Yeah, that was fake now."
What?
If it's over now.
If they were to come out and say it was fake, NASA would go straight downhill. It would be a 90-degree angle to the rock bottom.
They'd actually probably get a lot more publicity.
Bad publicity.
Hey, all publicity is good publicity.
Not when they stole $30 billion from U.S. citizens. Okay. And also, another reason, they had to fake the landing to fulfill Kennedy's 1961 goal, quote, this is what he said, "Before this decade is out, of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to Earth." That was like his goal, okay? And if Kennedy didn't accomplish that, he'd be a sucky president.
Or it could have just been that he succeeded.
And that's why they were so good at covering it up and accomplishing it, because the entire presidency, the government, the entire hierarchy of president to NASA was 100% backing this up, okay?
Or it could have just been that they were 100% backing it up with like actual science and technology, and that's why they succeeded.
No. You know how good the government is at keeping secrets, okay?
Very.
Yeah, very good. And if the president of the United States wanted to keep this a secret, boy, would it be a secret, okay? I mean, it's hard to argue with that.
I just don't see why. It just seems like a lot of work. And, okay.
How much work would you go to get $30 million?
$30 billion.
That's what I said.
I thought you said million. I would do a lot more for $30 billion than I would for $30 million.
True. Me too. Exactly. That's what I'm talking about.
But no, why you just seem to discredit the idea that maybe he actually did, like, they just succeeded. Have you just studied like the technology that went behind the rockets that they had back then?
But there's so much evidence that say it's not true.
Well, you haven't given me any real evidence, I would say.
Okay, you want me to go back to the evidence before I finish these? Why would they do it? Obviously, you've settled on why they might do it. So let me go back to the evidence here.
Sure.
Okay, this one's not necessarily some hard evidence. I actually should have put this in. There's the regular evidence. Here,
so you've got good evidence and then crappy evidence.
No, I have
in your notes.
I have physical evidence, as in a sea rock and stuff like that, and then I have evidence like how the shadows are wrong. Okay. And yeah, okay. So I'll just leave that one out. I meant to put that in a different section. So I'll go over here to what I call the American flag flap. Okay.
Please don't.
The American flag flaps in the breeze.
Can you say like what? There's got to be a better word. What was that noise?
It was a.
There's got to be a better word than flaps. And also
no, flaps. Okay, listen.
No, you want to see? I have the. You can go on.
Yeah. There's no breeze on the moon. How does it flap? Okay. In video footage of the astronauts hoisting up the American flag and planting it in the ground, a slight breeze appears to life up the fabric. A slight breeze. The moon, however, shouldn't have a slight breeze or any type of weather. There isn't an atmosphere on the moon, thus there is no air to blow around and ruffle the flag. Was the flag scene filmed in a drafty studio or perhaps outside? Yes.
They filmed it outside?
Maybe.
You want to know the real reason the flag was moving?
Sure.
Because listen, there's no gravity in space, all right?
Yes.
So when they disturb the flag by touching it and it starts flapping, as you would say, it's not going to stop. Because there's no friction in there. There's nothing holding it down. So it's going to just keep moving around because there's no gravity.
No.
Therefore, yes.
No.
Yes.
That's not true.
You didn't think about that, did you?
I did think about that. And
No, okay, then why wouldn't that work?
that you don't understand.
They also did
You
a
don't
whole
understand
Mythbusters
space.
episode about this, and I knew I was going to bring this up. And they basically took all these evidence he's using, and they were like, yeah, you're right. The moon landing was not faked. Like, all
The
this stuff they
Mythbusters
debunked.
would do anything for $30 billion. Okay.
Oh. Okay, but look, I can read this as a quote. In truth, the flag is not flapping. It's disturbed as it's being planted, and those disturbances are causing ripples to move through the cloth. There's no denying that. It's not fluttering in the wind. NASA even has a GIF that shows the flag between two different. It shows it in the wind and then shows it. I don't know if I can find it,
well, how do you explain that there's no blast crater where the ship landed, or any evidence of the ship being there at all?
What?
Okay, let me give you some specifics. The Apollo lunar module. That's what they flew to the moon.
Yeah. Also, look at this, Carter. This is the video where the flag was still.
What is it? That's obviously fake. The Apollo lunar module, okay, had a 10,000-pound thrust capability.
So, yeah, I've heard that before.
Anyway, that means that if the ship were to land or take off, especially on a dusty moon, it would leave a crater on the ground. Okay, but did it? It did not. There's no evidence of the ship being there at all. How do you explain that? How do you explain that?
Actually, NASA has reported that there's lots of remnants from the first moon landing,
But not
still on the
not
moon.
a crater.
Well, yeah, there's they can see where it did land. There is a crater.
No, there's not.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what this is saying.
But it's your word against mine.
Well, you're not wrong. Neither of us have been to the moon. Maybe if someone sponsors us, we can go to the moon. And
All we need is
check it out
$30 billion.
ourselves. $30 billion. Well, that's if we fake it. We should fake a moon landing.
You're right.
We've got a green screen right there.
See, it would be so easy. So easy.
Well,
Yeah.
would you forget to add in the stars?
I would
That's
not.
such a stupid argument.
That is not a stupid
There were $30 billion on the line, and they forgot to add stars to the background.
It was the 60s. They didn't have the technology to do all that.
They didn't have technology to put some lights up in the back.
Okay, so maybe they forgot, as I said previously.
Well, that guy got fired.
What do you want next? You want how they did it? Another reason? More evidence?
I don't know. Anything you say is just going to be stupid.
That's just not true. But I have two more points of evidence. Okay.
I'll just go ahead. Just we'll get them out of the way.
Sure. Okay. These aren't necessarily physical like evidence that you can see. This is just evidence. Okay. The shadows of the astronauts. Okay. The shadows given off by the astronauts on the moon are different in length, even when they are standing close to each other. This suggests that a faulty lighting system was set up on a stage somewhere, and NASA failed to notice these slight inconsistencies. Okay.
Wait.
Yeah.
What?
So
Say it again. I'm sorry. I was reading another point.
when the astronauts are standing next to each other, their shadows are different lengths, which means that they have multiple light sources shining on them to get all that they got box lights as we do. They got those lights so that the shadows are different sizes, which would mean that they have the different lights. If it was just one light source, I don't know, say the sun, then boom, the shadows.
But it's one really big light source.
That doesn't mean that it would be coming from different directions.
Well, it did if it's like spans over both of them.
No, that's not how it works.
Yeah, I don't think that is how it works. But I don't know. I want to see the pictures. Do you have them?
There were pictures, but I didn't put them in here since this is a podcast.
Or could it also not just be that they were standing differently?
No, what?
I don't know. Angles.
Nope.
There was actually a point about the lights.
This is irrefutable.
I gotta find
Yeah,
it.
looks like.
No, they actually talked about this one on MythBusters too. I just don't remember. I don't have that. I need to look that up.
Put all your trust in MythBusters.
Oh no, wait. Oh yeah, it's right here. Actually, I found it. Okay. Okay. So yeah. Okay. Yeah. So basically, there's this thing called Regolith, which is basically just moon dust. And it's no, it's true. You just don't think it exists. It's reflective. And so it says sunlight would bounce off of it like a mirror.
Oh, come on.
So there's basically just mirrors laying on the floor. And
No,
that's what it says right here. It's called regolith.
that sounds so fake.
Okay, listen. Lunar dust, regolith, is a reflective material, and sunlight bounces off of it like it would a mirror, lighting up any surrounding objects nearby.
Okay, just think about that for a second. Would you believe that there's a
I
planet
believe there's a
of
planet.
mirror ground, rock
Yes,
mirrors,
I
or would you
believe that.
believe that somebody faked a moon landing
Okay,
for
it's
attention
called
and
regolith.
money?
It's a real thing.
Yeah,
They basically
okay.
the sun just bounces off it,
Sure.
and it's like, whoosh, and it's like a mirror.
Yeah, okay. I'm sure. That's totally way more believable.
I knew
than,
I had
don't
that
know,
point written down.
$30
It's so
$30 billion
believable. Like, I can
budget
click on.
of a nice photo shoot on the moon. Okay. What about this?
Okay, I think I sufficiently debunked that one.
The government lies often. So why is this an exception?
Do they?
Yeah. Pentagon. Area 51. Anything the FBI
That's an episode
does.
in and of itself.
Bigfoot. The Loch Ness
Also,
Monster.
you believe in Bigfoot now? I won that one?
Yes.
We kind of discussed that good.
I do believe in Bigfoot. And he's the only one who's actually been to the moon, I'm sure.
I believe in Loch Ness Monster now.
Take those into consideration.
You don't really have...
If they would lie about all this stuff, they would totally lie about $30 billion.
Okay, well, do you have proof they lied about Area 51?
Nobody's ever been in there.
It could just because it's like a government building they don't want you in.
It's still a secret.
I guess you're not wrong, but it's probably just like some science.
Some secret science.
Secret science.
Okay, you want to know how they did it?
I think I know what you're gonna say, but
How did they do it, Jacob? How did they how did they fool millions of Americans into thinking that we stepped foot on the moon? Well, this is how they did it. Okay. They had first of all, a $30. I keep saying $30, but $30 billion budget.
I don't think they do it for $30.
Yeah, I would do almost anything for $30.
Okay.
How'd they do it? They used slow motion film and wires. Okay, this is how they faked the gravity. In the 60s, in order to create the effect of weak gravity on the moon, the astronauts were carried by thin wires and filmed jumping around. NASA then slowed down the film in order to make it look like they were floating through the air. And plot twist, there are some doubters have actually gone far enough to construct their own setting with their own wires and their own film, and they used cameras and only tools they would be available to them in the 60s, 70s to reconstruct it, and it looks exactly like that of the real footage.
Okay. Well, a few things. First of all, they have the technology to do that, but they don't have the technology to add stars in. Second of all,
Mistakes.
Just because you can go back and recreate something doesn't mean that that's how they did it.
It's good evidence that it's true.
I don't know about that. That's just like... It's like saying in a movie when they use a special effect that they must actually have done that. Like,
No.
just because they see... Like, you can see something and then recreate it. That's all they're doing. They just recreated it.
Okay, well, did you know that this actually became a big deal as well, and NASA addressed it?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And what'd they say?
NASA addressed this claim as well. Scientists refute it because of the dust kicked around by the astronauts as they jump around the moon's surface. They said that if they filmed the video on Earth, the dust would gather into clouds because of air in the atmosphere. Mm-hmm. Instead, the dust is kicked up and falls right back down to the ground without collecting or floating around. Okay, so seems reasonable, right? First of all, that's far. Hey, stop looking at my notes. First of all, that seems a very specific argument. I would like to say two things here.
I thought specificity was good.
Why would NASA be so why would NASA just really want people to believe this? Seems like they are begging
Because they
for
want
you
$30
to
billion?
believe this. Exactly, because they need that. They want that money. They don't want to go down. Okay. Second of all, this is a terrible argument from NASA. I don't. All these scientists and they're bad at covering up. Okay, because this is how us theorists are refuting that point.
Okay.
NASA probably, this is how they did it. They probably built a small airtight studio. Yes, and sucked all the air out of it to create a vacuum. Stop laughing. To create a vacuum. Something that would prove easy with a $30 billion budget. Okay? And this actually is a method that like we use in filming today. Okay,
Today?
we make a vacuum sealed chamber to use effects and stuff like that, and so that's what they did, and NASA is just screaming that is true. Okay, by trying to
you're saying
that the dirt.
NASA. Okay, didn't earlier you say they could have done it outside?
Well, you think they? Come on, have you know? You don't be stupid. Anyone in Hollywood has multiple locations to film. I mean, come on. Monty
Like
Python, they used one castle, but at different angles to look like they were everywhere.
You just unrefuted your point.
Well, I'm saying that it doesn't have to be.
Okay, yeah,
what
I know
it
what you're
seems.
saying, but
Yeah.
well, first of all, I really don't. They built a. Where is it? Where would it be? How did they hide that?
What?
They built a vacuum chamber.
I mean,
and
it's
nobody
not,
ever heard about it.
I don't think you understand what. Like, it's just they just got an airtight room, or they just airproofed a room. Okay, they just sealed all the cracks in the doors, and then sucked the air out. It's not
And then
that
jumped
hard.
around.
And yes, and then got the wire, connected the wires, and jumped around in their space, in their tight spacesuits, so they could breathe.
That's so stupid.
That's not stupid.
It sounds so stupid. Because like can you even airproof a room that big?
It didn't have to be that big. It
Oh,
just didn't look that
they've
big.
got wires and cameras set up and all set.
Yeah. I mean, we got a whole set right here. It's a small room.
Yeah, and I don't know if we could airproof this room.
Yes, we could. I mean, no, we couldn't probably. I guess we could if we spent the money on what we needed.
$30
but-
billion.
Yeah. We just need to airtight these doors. Okay. Probably seal around the windows,
And then get some
get a
wires and some
vacuum.
dust.
And, yeah.
And then get a vacuum.
Yes. You are speechless to refute this claim.
It
And
just-
that, my friends, is why NASA is the greatest con artist of our time. And I'm not even finished. Gosh.
Okay, didn't finish.
Okay.
Because that point was just kind of stupid.
What? You don't know how to refute. Okay. Another reason why they would do it. You want that? You want, you do.
Sure.
Okay.
I do. That is the one that I'm still not sold on.
The
if anything.
Vietnam War.
Okay. Yep.
Say it again. Vietnam
War.
The American Patriot Friends Network, okay, claimed in 2009 that the landings helped the United States government distract public attention from the very unpopular Vietnam War. People hated this war, okay? Manned landings, okay, and so I'm messing up here. And so manned landings suddenly ended about the same time that the United States ended its involvement in the war.
Wait, what? Say it again. What is?
Okay,
Can you
Vietnam.
explain?
Yeah, I'll
Put it in
explain.
English.
Vietnam War going on. Okay.
I got
Nobody
that part.
liked it. All the
well,
citizens were like, "This is stupid. Why
I
are we
don't-
even involved in
People
this?"
aren't typically big fan of wars.
Well, no, but this one was
Yeah, I know,
especially
it was
like
especially.
we shouldn't even be involved in this war.
Yes.
Was kind of like the thing. Okay. Well, so what did we do to cover up this huge? Americans were turning on each other about this war.
Yes.
Okay. So what did the gov do? They were like, NASA, let's get men in the moon. NASA was like, well, we could definitely pretend. And they were like, yeah, let's do it. Okay. Boom. The conspiracy happened. Okay. It was a big deal.
Wait.
But then the Vietnam War, or our involvement in it anyway, started to end. So NASA was like, we don't need to fake this anymore. So they stopped. And at the same time as our involvement in the war stopped, we were done with the moon stuff. Why?
Well,
How come that was so perfectly lined up?
Well, we still, to this day, we still send stuff to the moon. I think, they didn't just stop. There's still
Yeah, but it
rovers
was
and-
not the iconic man on the moon that it was that day.
Well, you can only send so many people you only need to send so many men to the moon.
What? That doesn't make sense.
Well, why?
I'm saying that they sent.
So but you're saying they faked the moon landing to draw attention away from a war,
Yes.
and then because the war ended, they didn't need to distract anybody, so they stopped sending people there, right?
Well, they stopped the attention, and yes, exactly. They
But
stopped.
they still send stuff to the moon to
Well,
this day.
Yeah, I guess. Well, they didn't until probably around I don't know, 2010. It's probably when they actually got something to the moon.
You're just making up numbers now.
See, it makes sense.
Well, so I just am so confused.
Why?
Because once again, the only reason that they would do this that is viable to me is the first one about the what is it? The funding?
Yeah, the funding.
That's the only
$30 billion.
viable reason. And I don't even think they needed the funding. It's NASA.
You think NASA just generates money out the wazoo?
I do think NASA generates money out the wazoo pretty steadily.
Well, probably, but you know how much money they have to spend for that research stuff like that, and equipment and technology. They needed that $30 billion. Okay.
How much of that did they spend trying to do all this? Because this seems like a lot of work.
I don't know. But
And they still couldn't hire somebody to add the stars to the picture.
even if they spend $10 billion, that's still $20 billion to them. Okay. And I would do a lot for $20 billion. I would do a lot for $10 billion. I'd do a lot for $1 billion.
You do a lot for $10.
I would, but especially $1 billion. Okay, but now think about $30 billion.
Yes, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Still don't think they really needed it. I still don't think that everybody that would need to be on board to do that would have been on board. You're acting like everybody was like, oh yeah, let's just fake the moon landing. There's still going to be no consequences
I'm sure they
for
didn't
that.
have a huge team. First of all, I'm sure it was a handful of selected high-ranking members of NASA, and then some secret, some high-level CIA agents from the Gov. Okay, and then the president Kennedy, and that's probably why he was shot.
Well, I don't think that's.
I'm tying all the conspiracies together. He faked the moon landing, and that's why he died. Somebody found out. Probably a guy in NASA didn't want involvement anymore.
Wow. Now you're just
but
making
Kennedy
stuff up.
was like, no, you cannot spill the beans. And so what did he do? He had to kill Kennedy. But then this is crazy.
I think we know like the motivation for why he killed Kennedy. Man, I couldn't tell you, but I'm sure I could. See, this is why you can't trust anything. He'll just say what you think.
You never know. You never really know. Okay.
So you just assume they faked it.
I'm looking at evidence. Okay.
I've got evidence. I've got evidence too. They literally brought rocks back from the moon.
How do you know those are moon rocks? You've never seen them. You've never even touched them. They claim that they're mirror rocks. Okay.
No, it's a mirror's ground. The ground is mirrors.
Well, we're running out of time, and I've made my points.
I've made my points. I don't think I really needed to. I think everybody kind of is just like, wow, that's stupid.
My points were very strong, I think, and convincing. I hope I hope I've convinced you people back at home, and I hope, Jacob, that I've maybe swayed you a slight bit.
I mean, I'll admit you had some interesting points.
Yeah.
But I still was able to refute a majority of them, I think, pretty thoroughly. Most of them.
Okay. Thanks for tuning in. Feel free to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Squabble Podcast. Again, this is the last episode of season 2.
Yes, so stay tuned. Come back for season 3.
But fortunately,
we'll be better than ever.
Yes, we'll be better than ever. April Fool's Day, April 1st.
Yes.
We have a Patreon. Link in the description. If you think our podcast is good, feel free to show your love over there with $1, maybe $2. Additionally, I'm going to insert myself again. We're not just going to be dead for the few weeks that we're not recording.
Yes.
We will be on the Instagrams. We will be on the Facebooks. We might come out with a little bonus,
maybe some more perspectives. I haven't done any of those in a while.
But anyway, don't forget to like, comment, and follow, and subscribe, and anything else that is possible to do.
Yep.
And you can also listen to us on iTunes, YouTube, and Spotify.
Yes.
That's still pretty new. So listen to us on Spotify or our website.
SchoolWobblePodcast.com.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think
that's about it. Yeah, it was a good season.
Yes, it was a good season.
Good episode. Good end.
Yeah,
and it'll be better next year.
It is. We will snap you. In season 3.
We'll snap you right now too.
We'll snap you right now. We'll snap you in season 3, and we'll snap you later.
Oh yeah, I'll snap you later.